We're talking to Mr. John Vroman, who is a husband, father, and founder of frontrowdads.com. In this episode, we talk about the components of a membership community. And because John talks about the relationships, the resources, and the results, and how a membership community can help do that, we're going to be diving into this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast. Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Carrie Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee! All right, Mr. John Vroman, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super stoked to rock the mic with you.
Yeah, man, this is a great way to start the day. Yeah, you have great energy, so it's easy to be synced up with you.
Thank you, man. Hey, I received that, and so do you. And, you know, our mutual friend, Garrett Gunderson and Hal Elrod connected us. And, you know, I started learning about you, and I was like, oh, I got to have John on the show because you are a happy hustler. You are a husband, a father. You're the founder of frontrowdads.com, which is a brotherhood created for family men with businesses, not businessmen with families, which I love that tagline. And it's so true. And it emulates through all your content and everything you do and stand for. But before we get into all that good stuff, what's something interesting about yourself, John, that not too many people know?
Dude, it's so funny. I search for, and when somebody asks me this question, I'm always wanting to pull something that I've never talked about. I want to find what that is. And it's a struggle, man. What I actually love about the question is it gets me thinking about what don't I know about myself? What have I forgotten about myself? But one thing, for lack of a more creative answer, if it hits me, I'll tell you later. Something a lot of people don't know is that when I was younger, I was a competitive gymnast. And this was like, I was probably 12 at the time. I had watched a movie. I'm going to date myself. I'm 48 right now. But the movie was called Jim Cotta. And it was this guy who was like, it was a combination of, he was a professional gymnast and then he learned karate and he went into this race. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's like, it was a race where it was like, if you didn't win, you died. And it was like the first action movie that I remember seeing as a kid. And I was like, those are the skills I need. I need to be a karate expert and I need to be a gymnast because I want to be able to kick and flip. And dude, it was like, that's a little peek into my inner child world. I probably still have a little bit of that. And the craziest part, man, is that my kids didn't know any of this. They're 9 and 14. It's just something that never really came up. But about a year ago, we were at a park and I did a backflip in front of them and they went bonkers. And they were like, all these years, you never told us that you could do that? I was like, I wasn't actually sure I could do that, but looks like I still can. So, pretty funny, man.
Dude, that's awesome. And to that point, like, I am a self-taught gymnast as well. And I have a sign on my desk, always stay ninja, which I like. I never want to not be able to throw a high kick. I trained martial arts with the Taoist priest and Kung Fu master growing up. And so we're like the same in the same sense, dude. And I don't talk about this, but that is something I have fallen and almost broken my neck like thousands of times trying to learn this backflip on the beach, you know, like over and over and just trying to perfect it. Now I don't throw it so much, but I used to play soccer at a high level. And every time I scored, I always wanted to throw a gainer. So I would throw a gainer. And
no way.
I would be hard pressed to do it right this moment. Because
you got that on video? Can we find that on YouTube somewhere?
Yeah. Connie, can we link that up in the YouTube, please?
That's cool, man.
That's awesome though. So good for you, man. And I mean, you really do, you know, prioritize family and being a husband and being a father. And it's, you know, top of mind for me. Obviously, we talked about it, but, you know, I have a newborn baby son, little Kaizen. And, you know, it's like my next chapter. And I just want to be the best father and the best husband I can be. and a lifestyle entrepreneur that really makes a difference with the Happy Hustle mission and message. And I know you feel the same about Front Row Dads. Talk to us about how Front Row Dads even started, first and foremost.
Yeah. Dude, I'm happy to talk about that. It's one of my favorite things to talk about outside of my wife and kids.
Yeah.
But dude, I have to also tell you, one of my best friends, his son's name is the same. I don't know.
Really?
Have you ever met another kid with the same name?
No.
Dude, yes, 100%. And that was
That's
his license
awesome.
plate for years. So I'm very familiar with the term, I'm very familiar
Heck
with
yeah.
now the name, and I love it. So props for
Awesome.
that. That's well done.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, so Front Row Dads. I mean, I think the important part of the story is why, like, let's go back to why it began. Why
Yeah.
this whole Front Row thing. So prior to Front Row Dads, I was a speaker, and I was making money as a speaker. It was my full-time job. I was making, I was getting paid 10, 20, and even up to 35,000 was my highest keynote fee. So I was putting a lot of money in the bank. I was happy. I was traveling the world. And I've written a book called The Front Row Factor, which
Mm.
was written about a charity that I started about 20 years ago called Front Row Foundation. That's where the whole Front Row thing began. I was at a concert and I just had this understanding of like, wow, this life is so different when you're in the front row, when you're close to the thing that you really want to
Mm.
experience. You give energy to it, it gives energy to you. Like that's just a proximity point, that
Yeah.
when we get close to you take people into the wilderness. When you get into the wilderness, it's different than talking about the wilderness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to get close. and
Yeah.
and so what happened was I'd written this book and doing all these speeches, and then my wife said, you're more of a moment maker for the rest of the world than you are for our family. And she
Mm.
said it because she was calling me up as a man. She was calling me into the family. I
Mm.
was busy trying to show my kids how to live a great life. I thought that providing and, like, and yes, providing is important. Yes, it's important to chase your dreams as a man. Yes, your kids should see you be passionate, but not to the point where it's an excuse to not be a dad, not
Yeah.
to the point where you're not engaged at home. And
Yep.
so I was like, man, there's a problem here. Everything in my life is like, even the conversations with my friends, we would talk for 2 hours and 99% of it was about business,
Yeah.
or whatever, or cracking jokes. But very little of it was like deep dives into parenting and marriage and the things that related to our family life. That was more of like by the way, how are your wife and kids? It was a
Mm.
side
Mm-hmm.
conversation. And so I got 30 guys together back in 2016. Some names that you would know, close friends of mine, entrepreneurs, business owners, high level dudes who I was like, look, let's get together and just not talk about business, right? You all can put food on the table. Nobody here is going to go hungry, but like, let's just talk about family for a couple days.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so successful that the guys were like, let's do this again. Hey, maybe
Mm.
a couple calls in between. And what that turned into is a full-blown company now, seven-figure business that has 330 members in 15 different countries. It's all been built by referral. Guys are having a great experience. They bring in their buddies. It's just word of mouth. It's grown. It's solid. And the
Mm.
men get together online and in person. We have small groups and big groups. We do all different types of things that serve these men. And what started as just talking about parenting, how to be a great dad, then it turned into how do we be a great husband? And by the way,
Mm.
if we really want to show up for our family, of course we need to take care of our health. And look, we love business, so let's talk about it, but not from the standpoint of just scaling for scaling's sake. Let's talk about the business as like how it serves our family. Can we
Mm-hmm.
build a family calendar and then build a business that serves that? So all these things come together. We talk about 6 major pillars throughout the year, and that's it. We've got a good thing going now, but that's really the start and what's happened and evolved. And then you got these little ones running in.
Yeah.
We're in the recording, and here's what's cool. You met him earlier, but now your audience gets to meet my son. Ocean. Can you say hi? No, say hi into the mic. Say hey, everybody.
Hi.
Ocean's 9, and here's what's interesting. This is like perfect timing. We didn't even plan this, this pop in. But when I was younger, I would have only looked at children running into my office as an interruption and
Mm.
like breaking my flow and like and then I would be like, I need better boundaries. I need to like make sure my kids know never to enter my office when I'm, but then I realized I was like, you know what? This should be part of like, yes, come on in, like meet my friend Carrie, meet his audience, like
Yeah. Yeah.
watch Papa work if you want. Like there
Yeah.
became a level of integration, and it's not always easy. they can
Yeah.
be really challenging, but that's when you're like, I'm in it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we work really hard to make life clean and friction free. That's
Yeah.
not where the juice is. Hold on, let me answer his question real quick. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for coming and telling me. Have fun.
Oh man, that's great. I mean, and I'm like in that same boat right now. I just did a team meeting with little baby boy in the football hold, and it was intense. I'm not gonna lie, because he wasn't like um you know he wasn't fully compliant with the team meeting, and like he was crying a bit, but it just reminded me like, and this is kind of where I'd like to take it is there's this phrase work life balance, right? I think
Yeah.
personally, I think it doesn't really make that much sense, because work is a part of life, and I think for me, the systematic harmonization of ambition and well-being makes more sense, right? Like we are ambitious, we're
100%.
striving for our dream reality, but we also want to balance our well-being. When it comes
Yeah.
to you balancing the two, what would you say is a tip or tool, a tactic that you've used to do so effectively?
Yeah, so many things I could speak to here, and I really think that a lot of this is like how we define the terms, because I don't think it makes sense to shit all over the term balance. Like balance can be a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
The word feels harmonious to me. I love that. I also get integration. I get
Yep.
work life integration. I understand that work is life. Like in but what men struggle with is like we have this passion, we have this thing that we want to go do, and
Mm.
then we have our family, and they can feel like two separate things. They often are two separate things. Like when I'm at a business coaching session in California this week, I'm not present with my family. I mean, it's
Hmm.
clearly two different tracks.
Yeah.
And the thing that here's what a couple of very practical things I've learned over the years, and a lot of this comes by way of like my own failure, right? My own, like, this wasn't working and I need to fix it. And also just watching what other guys did. Here's one. I used to, I used to be very distracted on the weekends with my family.
Mm.
It would be hard to be present with them because I was still thinking about work.
Mm.
And then I would ask the question, how can I be more present with my family on the weekend? And I was wrestling to figure that out. But the real issue that needed to be resolved was actually during my work week. And what I
Mm.
did was I stopped scheduling Friday so heavy. I
Yeah.
used Friday as a closing of the loops, inbox zero. This was a follow up on the week, finish things. It was like finish it Friday. And
Nice.
then when I went into the weekend, I was clear in my heart. Wasn't carrying all these things emotionally into my family. I didn't have a problem being present with my family. I had a business problem that was
Mm.
bleeding into my family.
Yeah.
Same thing with what happened on Monday was my Monday was so busy. It was so full. And I just said, team, to my EA, nothing on Monday. My Monday, I'm going to know in my heart is like, it's a mapping Monday. I want to
Mm.
plan on Monday. I want to map the week. I want to
Mm.
think
Mm.
long term in my business. I want space to wake up on a Monday morning, get my workout in, drink a cup of coffee, and think about what I want to create in my life. The problem was when I'd wake up on Monday and I'm like, let's go. Like, first call, 9 a.m., first podcast, let's go, let's hit it. How
Yeah.
fast can I get into the business? What would happen is I would start thinking about Monday morning on Sunday night. I can't tell you
Mm.
how many times throughout the first decade of my children's life,
Yep.
my oldest, I would say to my wife, Sunday night, I'd be like, I need to get a couple hours in the office because I need to be prepared for tomorrow.
Yep.
And so the misalignment was that, she was like, weekends are for family. And here I was like, I was bowing out.
Mm.
Now, here's where it's interesting. 99% of the time, Carrie, I don't work on weekends. I don't do anything on weekends. In fact, as we record this, it's a weekend.
Yeah.
This is, but let me explain. Like, I think this is really important too, because there's what people talk about on shows And then when you look at their real life, you go, I see how like they present it as like a perfect system on the podcast, but in real life, it doesn't look that way. I want to be really
Mm.
transparent with everybody that I'm talking about the majority of the time. Now, here's what I can say with absolute certainty. This is a
Mm.
fact. Somebody can fact check my calendar. This is the only podcast I've done in 2023 on a weekend. It is the only call I've scheduled on a weekend in 2023, the entire year. That is a
Well,
fact. Anybody
wow.
can check it. They can talk to my EA. Nothing. It's never nothing.
Yeah.
This worked out perfectly because you and I were talking.
Yep.
My wife was away. I knew my kids were going to have a little game time on Saturday. And I was like, this feels like an okay thing. Kids have earned screen time. They're going to do
Yep.
that today. They only get screens on Saturday. Sunday is screen-free Sunday. We always go out and do things. But
Yeah.
that's what I mean, where there are ways where I can flex and do what I want and make decisions. But to me, it's a 9 out of 10 game. 9 out of
Yeah.
10 times, I don't have anything scheduled on Fridays and Mondays. 9 out of 10 times, and even 9.8 out of 10, I don't have anything scheduled on weekends. But if I want to, if I'm feeling the energy, if it looks like a window, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
That's what feels good, where I've got freedom and a framework. And I hope that answers the question, but that's how I look at it, is like,
Yeah.
there's both separation and there's integration in all of this.
Yeah. No, it makes a ton of sense, and it's all about being intentional with your time, because it's
Yeah.
ultimately our most precious commodity. And you and I decided to record this. I don't record on Saturdays either, but the reason we did is because you have an amazing event coming up, and I'm like, hey, we got to get this thing out before your event so the happy hustlers know about
Thank you,
it.
man.
And
Thank
so we
you. Thank
fast
you.
tracked it, and front row dad live is coming up, and why don't we just talk about it? What is it exactly, and who's it for?
Dude, I'm so pumped about this event. 3 days with 100 amazing brothers. I can just tell you, it's an event like, I want to say it's an event like no other, but not like there aren't great events. My buddies lead great events. There's
Yeah.
incredible events out there. I was talking about, I mean, I could just literally list them off and list off their events. I go to them. I go to their events. They're incredible.
Hmm.
The reason I say this one's not like any other is that it goes back to what you said in the beginning. Family men with businesses, not businessmen with families. The
Mm.
purpose of this event, it's 3 days and there's 3 parts to it. Day one is about you, the man. What does that look like so that you're a level 10 so you can serve your family, which is what we
Yep.
talk about day 2, parenting and marriage. And then day 3 is how do we grow a business where we don't lose ourselves to it, but that it
Mm.
serves our family, right? And
Yep.
that it does have an integrative element. It does feel balanced. It is something our wives, our partners are proud of, not thinking as a threat to the family unit.
Mm.
Like, I lost my husband again to the business, but like, man, I love his business. His business, he loves it. It serves him. He comes home energized from it. He doesn't come home spent and wasted with nothing left for the family. He comes home like charged. It's an
Hmm.
additive to the family. Our
Yep.
event we have great presentations, but we have great conversations. It's very experiential. It's very
Hmm.
fun. There's a lot of movement. I mean, entrepreneurs, man, we like to go. We like one
Yeah.
thing to the next. Let me talk about it. Let me think about it. Let me write down my answers. Let me talk to another guy about it. Let me ask the speaker questions. So it's very interactive. It's not
Mm.
sit and listen and take notes the entire time. We even take like a break and go play some volleyball, some basketball, some
Nice.
pickleball, whatever. Just get out, break a sweat, hang out, go paddleboard for a little bit. Those are important to building a brotherhood,
Yeah.
because the whole event is built in this way. We value 3 things: relationships first. We value that above all else. The resources are second, because once you have the relationship, you can share them. And then last is the result. In that
Mm.
order: first build the relationship, then share the resources, then get the result you want.
Yep.
And our men, will invest 3 days away from their family, which sounds counterintuitive. It's like, John, you're telling me if I want to be a great dad, shouldn't I just stay home? But like, dude, where else in our life is the answer just do more work? Like, I mean, the truth is, of course you need to be present with your family. Of course you want to be home. But if you want to write a book, if you want to become a speaker, if you want to build a business, you're likely going to have to study how to do it. But some
Hmm.
men seem to think that the only thing that you need to be a dad is just go home and be a dad. And like, yeah, showing up's important. Loving your kids is important. But why do we think like we're just born experts at being a great dad? Why do we think we just won't share ideas and strategies about how we connect and how we serve and rite of passage programs and
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming. But I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills. You've probably heard people talk about, oh, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions guaranteed. And you can get access to this new sales course that the Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available, because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode.
and when do you talk about screens, and how do you have like the talk or the talks throughout their lives, and what do you do when somebody struggles and has a curveball thrown to them? Like, this is what we talk about. And we bring in the best of the best guys. We roll up our sleeves, we do the work, and we send dudes home charged and ready to have an amazing year ahead. So it's like it. There's no other event for family men with businesses like this. That's it. It's the only one that exists.
Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, what I really appreciate about it is, again, the structure. You're not just talking about how to have a better marriage. You're not just talking about how to be a better dad. You're talking about how to do all the things while building a business that you
100%.
don't grow to hate, that you are, again,
That's it.
being intentional, and you have a framework, the 6 pillars of a front
Yep.
row dad. If it's cool with you, I'd like to get into them. And I know for people who really want
Yeah, man.
to
100%.
experience this deeper, they just got to go to the event. But let's talk high level for those out there, and
For
maybe
sure.
even for the females out there who want to bring this to their their male partners. Like, I think it's
Yeah.
important to talk about these 6 pillars.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. Where do you want to begin? Let's go. Let's tell some stories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's first identify them, and then, talk about how they all, interact.
Yeah, I was thinking there. You probably can't see it. They're actually like on this wall behind me. I don't know if it shows up, but right there: intentional parenting,
Yeah.
thriving marriage, business evolution, wealth and legacy, vibrant health, emotional intelligence. And when you think
Mm,
about those 6, when I just outlined the 3 days of our event, day 1 is about the man, we say, right? So that's emotional intelligence and health. And on that day, by the way, we have my buddy Stefanos Sifandos, who I don't know if you know Stefanos, but
I don't know him.
dude, his
No.
work is amazing.
Yeah.
He's like the men's coach in the world, in my opinion.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
he's going to lead 100 men through a breathwork session. And if
Oh,
anybody's done
cool.
breathwork, you know the power of it. And if you haven't, then this is the chance to experience it.
Mm,
But this is how we open our event. And then we have another gentleman who has deeply studied emotional intelligence. So we are going to talk about how do you create and we use this term a lot, Carrie, sorry, is solid men. We
mm,
talk about what it means to be a solid man, a man with range. And what I mean
mm,
by that is a man who has this soft side, this empathetic, loving gentleness about him. But
mm.
dude, he's also got a beast of a dark side of a, if somebody
Yeah.
walks into my house and confronts my family, they've entered the wrong home. This is
Yeah.
somebody who has all of this in them. They know how to fight if they
Mm,
need to. They
mm.
have this aggression in them. We want that. We want ambitious men who can
Yeah.
get shit done. We
Yeah.
also want men who would hold a child and listen and be sensitive and curious. And like, that is, if we can help develop that from within, a core of a human that is solid for their family, a core of a man that literally can hold the craziness of having a marriage and children and the chaos that ensues, like that is important.
Yeah.
The second two pillars are parenting and marriage. That's
Yep.
the family piece,
Yep.
right? And then the third two, business and wealth. So
Mm.
business is just, can you build a business that serves the world, that you can scale, that doesn't own you, but you
Yep.
own it? And then what do you do with the money that you create? Like, how do you look at legacy? How do you, that's a whole other separate subject. So those six pillars is what we cover.
Mm.
We can get into any one of those pieces, but they're all important. You know, they're
Yeah.
all important. And there's a spiritual element, by the way. There's an undertone of spirituality to all of that. But we're not a religious organization. You know,
Mm.
this is no religious affiliation. But devout Christians, welcome. Orthodox Jew, welcome, right?
Yep.
Whatever you are, whoever you are, you're welcome in this room because this is built on respect. It is built on diversity. You
Mm.
know, there's certain things that we all seem to like, oh man, clearly you have a culture, clearly you align on a lot of these things, but dude,
Yeah.
you're also a bunch of different dudes,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it has to be a part of the conversation, the spiritual nature. I'm very spiritual, not religious. My dad technically was Catholic, my mom's technically Jewish, so I was like this religious mutt, and
Yep.
I just was raised very spiritual, and I pray every day, and I think it's a very important piece to the puzzle. As is emotional intelligence, that EQ, being able to read the room. And you mentioned like the yin and the yang, right? Like that's something I'm a big proponent of. And I subscribe to the ethos of a peaceful warrior. I don't know if you've ever read Dan
Yes.
Millman's
Yes.
book, but I even got it
Yeah,
tatted
dude,
on
you're the
my
second
arms.
person that talked about that book this week.
Oh yeah, Dan's the man. I built a relationship with him back in the day, and he changed my life truly. And I optioned the rights to make a movie out of the journey of Socrates, and we went through this whole thing. I was going to star in it, and it was a whole thing, but it didn't end up working out. But
Whoa,
regardless, he changed my life, and I think you have
that's
to
cool.
have that peaceful warrior, mentality, so you can be both, right? And we are very diverse creatures, and we need to be both for our families, for our businesses, for our
Definitely.
for our partners. But I do think now there's this, like, I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but there's this like toxic masculinity woke culture that's like trying to sabotage it, which I know we probably are aligned in some of the beliefs on that front, but I do think you need both, and I know you preach both. And vibrant health is also a part of your pillars, which without health you cannot be an amazing father, husband, businessman. One thing I do want to stay for
Totally.
a beat is the business piece, because we do have a lot of happy hustlers out there who are
Yeah.
looking to create wealth and really the three freedoms. I call it, time freedom, essentially financial freedom, and creative freedom, right? Those three freedoms we all crave. When it comes to your business, membership communities, masterminds, like this is something I've been in the game for many years. And I think it's such an important part of positive transformation. You have to have expert mentorship, accountability, and a community for true positive
Yes.
transformation, right? And I know your community has all three. When it comes to the actual nuts and bolts, and the reason I think this is very important, especially now with AI and this indulgence of technology, we need community more than ever, like away from the screens into like real life, where we're connecting, where you just foster that brotherhood, like you're talking about, or that
Yes.
sisterhood, or just that community, right? Talk to us about the nuts and bolts of the business. How have you actually structured it? Is it an annual thing? How do you scale a membership community? Because I think this is a hot topic here, and I think into to 2024, this is something that people are really looking to build. So yeah, let's talk about the membership
Yeah.
nuts and bolts.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy to get into any of this because I have benefited from other people talking about the nuts and bolts of their businesses and
Yeah.
taking pieces of that and applying it to my own. So I appreciate these conversations. So Front Row Dads, like I said, profitable 7-figure business right now. Men pay
Mm.
membership fees that range between 2 and 5K a year to be a member of the group. So
Mm.
we definitely attract a higher performing, high capacity, somebody who's got a fairly well-established business, if you will, or believes in investing in to create one. Because a lot of guys are like, is this the right group for me? It sounds like there's a bunch of badasses in there. Like, should I join? And I'm like, if you want to surround yourself with all the people you want to be like, then yes, you're the average of the people you hang out with. So
Facts.
yeah, dude, step in. Let's go, man. It's because it's a spirit. There's an owner's spirit of our group. And the nuts and bolts of it are very simple. We have different ways that men get and give value. And that's an important part of it, because men show up to give value as much as they show up to receive value.
Yep.
It's like, that's the whole point. If you're just a taker, we're not the good community for you, because it's actually the whole reason it works is because everybody's giving.
Yeah.
So if you got 330 dudes that are all going to be like, I'm going to bring the best of what I've got and share it with the group.
Yeah. 330
people sharing the best of what they've got, generous with their introductions. Oh, you need help? I can help. I got a buddy. Like, there's one of our front row dads called me the other day, and he left me a voicemail, and he said, hey man, he goes, there's not an area of my life that front row dads hasn't touched. Like, literally, my concierge doctor is the wife of one of our brothers. I have 2 clients in my group that found me through front row dads. And he just literally went through he goes, my new website is being built by one of the dads in the group that has a website company. And he said, there's not an area of my life that front row dads is not involved in. My counselor I got is through front row dads, like everything. It's just every resource, every connection, every introduction comes by way of the brotherhood.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful way to do it, because look, can you go Google anything? Of course you can. Go type in right now how to be a better dad in Google. You can read for fucking days. So I didn't even ask if I could.
Oh, you're good, man.
Sorry. But it's like, you can read for days. But I don't want to learn that way. I don't want to learn that way. I want to talk to my brother who knows me, who knows my situation, and be like, here's what I'm wrestling with. And he goes, dude, here's what worked for me. Here's what happened in my life. Or I know another guy, he was going through something, and here's what he did. That's how I want to learn. I want to learn with dudes around the campfire, sharing real resources that have been vetted, that have been approved by the community. That's what I want. And so the guys are doing all this in a couple different ways. One, look, nothing will ever beat an in-person event. So we've got 4 options throughout the year. We've got, about every 3 months, we host a live event. They're different styles, they're different sizes. Sometimes it's 50, sometimes it's 150, sometimes they're in the woods, sometimes they're downtown. We have these live events. Nothing's going to beat that. We talked about it before. It is so important to be in the same room.
Yeah.
I've sold myself off of it too so many times, where I'm like, too busy, got so much going on, can't leave the family, all the things. I go to an event and I'm like, that's why I was there. I'm so charged. I've got the resources. I know what domino to tip over to make it all work. It's just beautiful. All right. So there's online stuff. Almost every single week, Carrie, we offer to our group an opportunity to jump online. Niche topics, deep dives into, like, we talk about crypto. We talk about, VAs. We have a guy in our brotherhood that has a VA company, teaches the guys, here's how to look at hiring VAs. We talk about peptides, if you're interested in that. We talk, to improve your health. We talk about emotional resiliency, if you want to work on your psyche and your inner emotional state. We bring in incredible people to these events that are sometimes an hour, sometimes 3 hours. Come and go as you please. Gino Wickman, who started EOS, just came in and he talked to the group. We've had Gary Brecka come in and talk to the group recently. We had, just all sorts. And our buddy Garrett might be coming in and doing some financial education for the group. Garrett Gunderson, for those who know, right? And it's like, we have all this access to all these amazing people. They come in, they talk, and they share. So the dudes are paying to have access to all these things. And here's what I want to say, Carrie, about the business is, like, they're investors. We talk to them like they're investors. And I say that, I go, when you pay, why are you paying your membership fee? Some people are like, do I really need to pay for friends? I go, dude, you're an investor in a mission. That's what we do. Everybody, we're all chipping in. We collectively, as the Front Row Dad staff, as the owner of the company, my job is to provide a playground for all you guys. By the way, if you ever think it's easy to do this, you ever think it's easy to get 50 dudes or 100 dudes together, if you think it's easy to put together an agenda, bring in speakers, all the resources, do that, Go ahead, give it a shot. Come back to me. Tell me how easy it is, right? And then once you do that once, you'll happily pay for somebody else to do it for you.
Yeah.
So these
Amen.
dudes are investors. This is a shareholder meeting when they come together, and they're basically like, I believe in this. I believe in this impact in the world. I believe in this brotherhood. And I want somebody to organize ways for us to hang out. I want somebody to curate the content. I want somebody to put it all together.
Yeah.
So anyway, dude, there's all that. There's Telegram threads. There's online groups. There's recordings that are stored in a place called the Vault. All that's there.
Yeah.
But dude, the core of it is guys pay a membership fee.
Yeah.
Everybody's chipping in. We organize everything. They benefit.
Yeah. I mean, so much to unpack there. The first thing that comes to mind, just to your point, like events are the biggest biatch. If you want a stressful job, like try to run a live event. And don't get me wrong, like events have the opportunity to truly change lives. But I was at the Fire Festival running VIP.
Oh Jesus!
Like I was on the back end. Yeah, the Fire Festival on the island next to Billy crying like a little baby. And so I watched firsthand the biggest meltdown of events. I've ran events like Coachella and Lollapalooza and all sorts of events. I've been on the back end. I've run my own events. I tell you what, events are so stressful. So I tip of the hat to John, you, my brother, and anyone who does events, because it ain't easy, but they are transformative. And that's what's necessary in a membership community. So that's number one. You mentioned the second piece, online touch points. Very important. And I just want to get tactical for all the happy hustlers out there. Like this is the components of a successful membership, right? We want to break it down. The online, and you said weekly, right? Weekly touch points?
Weekly opportunities for the guys to connect. Yep. On specific niche topics.
Exactly. So there has to be some level of continuity, that touch point, right? It can't just be once a quarter because we're so busy and we get distracted and then we forget, or we get, like the shiny object syndrome and we chase another group or something else, right? So there needs to be that continuity piece. So you got the in-person live events, you got the, continuity of in online, touch points. Then you have resources, right? You mentioned the Vault, right? The media library with all its different resources, a huge piece to this because people want to be self-paced and learn and grow on their own time, right? And then you also have the podcast, right? That you're sharing, and you give away free content that ascends them up to the membership community, right? So
podcast is huge,
yeah. And so these are a really important, to break down the different components, as well as you mentioned like text message, right? The Telegram and like on your phone and being able to actually connect with the brothers. That's a very important piece. Is there any other pieces that I'm missing that really are the glue?
Yeah. One of the biggest is we didn't get there yet, but this is it, man. This is the core of it. It is, we call them, these groups, bands. So EO calls them forums. My GoBundance brothers call them pods. Whatever you call them, they are small groups. They're up to 8 guys, and they commit to one another to have some type of cadence, gathering, deep dive. So because they're all the same guys meeting regularly, because they've dedicated, this is our team, this is our band. The band concept, obviously the band ties to the front row theme, but a band is really like, when you think about a real legendary band, everybody plays a different instrument. And that's what happens when you get a group of guys together that are all a little bit different. Now, you might share the value of being a family man with a business, not a businessman with a family. You might have some similarities, but different personalities, different, one's an extrovert, one's an introvert, one, you know what I mean? Like there's just different dudes, different approaches, different, like we said, different spiritual beliefs, different, one might be conservative and one a little more free. And, there's just like all these different pieces of it. But what you get is you get trust, you get vulnerability, you get honesty. And these are built on a dude telling another dude and getting support. The real shit that most guys aren't going to say to each other.
Yeah.
You can have a buddy, and I'm amazed at how many buddies don't actually call each other out. They're not honest with each other. They're just like, yeah, man. Yeah, she's wrong. It's all her.
Yeah.
Versus anybody that's like, hey man, I actually think we need to look at you. Not let's not turn this into a complaining session about your wife. Like,
Hmm.
let's talk about you.
Yeah.
And that's what I want in my life. I want a dude that's going to tell me the thing other dudes aren't going to say. I
Hmm.
want honest people. I want direct feedback. I want toughness when necessary. And I also want encouragement along the way. Of course I do. But
Yeah.
like these bands that get together. So my band is Hal Elrod, Justin Donald, Dane Espegard, and Tim Nikolai. Those are my 5 dudes. We meet every single month for 2 hours, roughly. And this is, we've been going on for now almost 5 years.
Wow.
And we get together and we do deep dive conversations. We laugh a lot. There has been no shortage of tears.
Hmm.
This has been, we've done 360 reviews on each other where we take, we write a review on the other dude. And like a
Wow.
question might be, what's something about this man that nobody else is telling him that you would have the courage to tell him?
Hmm.
Dude, how about that?
That's deep.
Yeah. Where do you think this dude has a blind spot? And
Hmm.
if you have those guys in your life, man, you're going to grow.
Oh
And that's
yeah.
what's happened, dude. We've all grown. Our businesses have grown. Our parenting has expanded. And that's why guys, look, our mutual friend, Hal, he's known around the world.
Hmm.
His book's published in, I don't know how many languages. I can't count that high.
I don't know.
Sold millions of copies. He
Yeah.
gets astronomical fees to stand on stages. Like, people recognize him out in public. And at the same time, like, he just sent out an email to his entire list, tens of thousands of people talking about Front Row Dads, because I
Hmm.
didn't pay him to do it. He's not an affiliate. He does it because it's literally changed his life. And he'll tell
Yeah.
you that.
Yeah. He told me
And he
that.
has no shortage in access to great people.
Yeah.
But this is different. And we get that through these small groups. So the whole point is,
Hmm.
whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever level of success you have, we've got guys in the group that have a net worth of $10,000 and guys in the group that have a net worth of 100 million. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter. That's not the qualification. This isn't a pissing contest with your finances.
Hmm.
But this is a group of men who are like, I want to run a great business. I want to be a great dad. And I know there's something to learn from everybody.
Yeah.
And so we want, and say this last piece, which is intimacy. No matter how big we get, as we scale, always got to keep it small.
Hmm.
You always got to keep it like that small. Hey, these are like locals, like
Yeah.
that. And that's what you get with the band. It's a
Yeah.
local feel.
Yeah.
You're never going to
That.
know everybody, but you can know a couple of guys really well.
Yeah. That's a good point. And do you pick the members for each band, or do you have them
Both.
pick?
They can make their own.
Okay.
If they know what they want, they know who they want, they can form their own, but they can also just raise their hand and go, I want to be in a band. And then we form the band for them and go, this is your band.
Hmm. Nice.
Both are great.
Yeah.
I can make an argument for why both of them are wonderful
Yeah.
options,
Yeah. And again, this is how you increase engagement and longevity of a membership community, is you build that
100%.
trust, that vulnerability. And
Yeah.
I think this is also where a lot of membership communities go awry. Like, as they scale, they don't have that pod, that band, or they do have it, but it's not effective. There's the actual engagement is off, right? And so I'm
Totally.
wondering, in terms of engagement, do you have a almost like a rule around it, or if someone's not going to the membership or like to the meetings, or do you have anything like
Dude,
finite in
I'm
this arena?
smiling because there's a manual for
Oh,
this.
awesome.
And it's not public, but I'll show it to you
Okay.
when we're done.
Yeah.
It's I'll show you and you'll be
Okay.
blown away.
Okay.
I wonder like if I should just share it like publicly, because it's really badass.
Yeah.
We might create a public version of it that's maybe
Mm.
a little simpler, a little more open, because I do want people to have this. Look, whether or not somebody like is a member of Front Row Dads, signs up, pays the money, joins the group,
Mm.
I just want men and people and women and whomever to have great relationships in
Yeah.
their life.
Yep.
I don't think Front Row Dads is a good fit for everybody. I don't think everybody listening should join our group. I think there's tons of other groups out there that are probably a better fit for them. Now, somebody in your community, Carrie, is
Yeah.
going to hear this and it's a perfect fit for them.
Yep.
That's the one, two, or however many guys that I want to find front row dads.
Yeah.
But for everybody else that we're not a good fit for, I just want them to have great friends. I want them to have great conversations. I want them to have this. I think we all need it.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
It's my belief.
No,
So yeah, man, there is totally rules that we say this is how we think it should be run. But I want to tell you, I have a canvas print in my office. It's not hanging up right now because we had it at our last event. It's in these boxes right next to me. But dude, somebody sent me a gift because I repeat this at every one of our events, and that is in front row dads. We invite you to participate in these ways. Hey, this is how a band functions. We invite you to participate in that way. But the thing I always say is I go, but you're grown men.
Yeah.
And you will do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a really important part of being in this group is that I think it's unhealthy when an organization, a community, a religious group, or whatever says, this is the way, it is the only way. And if you go against this, you are no longer welcome in our community. That there's a little bit of like,
Cult.
It gets unhealthy in that space. And I want people to always remember their sovereignty. I want to make sure that you know that we are definitely going to create a space for you. You want a framework? We'll give you one. You want some suggestions? I'll tell you. You want me to pick left or right? I'll pick a direction for you. But at the end of the day, I want you to remember that you get to order off the menu. Yeah. You design your life. You are the architect, and don't delegate that responsibility entirely. Like, we don't want followers only in this group. And it's a very interesting balance, Carrie, to lead a group of leaders. Yeah. That's a very interesting thing.
Yep.
Because they have to yet subscribe to a little bit of the structure. Okay, I know he wouldn't care that I would say this, and I'm usually very careful with private conversations and names. But my really good friend Tucker Max, who many people would know, he and I had lunch last week, 2 hours, and we were talking about one of our recent events, and he goes, framework is healthy for me. Now, here's a guy who has no problem doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. Yeah. But he goes, give me the framework, and then, of course, I'll always decide what I will do. But I love having somebody tell me, this is the framework. Then I get to decide if I'm going to do it or alter it, do 90% of it. You know, that I love that because then we're always in the iterative, co-creative process together as a brotherhood. Yeah. And on the fly, dude, I'll make changes. Somebody will come to me in the group and go, I think we should do it this way. And I'm like, you know what? That's a better way to do it. We're totally going to change. Yeah. And other times people come and they're like, I think it should be this way. And I'm like, yeah, we've thought about that. We're going to stick with this. And if it's just not a good fit for you, that's cool. You know, much love, always be friends, call me anytime, but not the right group for you. Yeah. It's an interesting balance.
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate the framework and the freedom and the flexibility that you possess with your community. Yeah. And I think it's necessary to have that, especially if you're serving a leader, which, you know,
with the guys in our group.
That's like, you gotta be mindful that they are a badass in their own right. And like, that's in my same Happy Hustle Club. Like, we got straight badasses. It is, they want their sovereignty. And, you know, I think it has to be very delicately managed, right? And you mentioned, you know, ego, right? Ego is a part of it. It's healthy to have one, but also you need to be humble enough to learn and grow and give. And at the end of the day, you know, meaningful relationships is what life is all about, right? And so that's what we're talking about with membership communities and how to foster them. And I hope everyone out there, whether it's Front Row Dads or any other community, you need to find your people and create that tribe. We are tribal beings. And right now we're being so divided politically, you know, with these ideologies about religion or race. It's just, we need to come together. We need to foster peace and brotherhood or sisterhood and community and tribal nature again. And I just, love what you're up to, man. And, for anyone who wants to go to Front Row Dads, I'm going to do my best to actually make it down there. I told you I'm going to do my best to make it. I'm in the middle of moving right now, and I got a newborn, and we're going down to Florida, so there's a lot going on in my life, but I hope people will join me. If I do make it, I'd love to see you in person. But where can people go to sign up or to learn more about it if they do want to
Yeah.
attend?
Thanks, man. Yeah, simple frontrowdads.com/live. But if you just go to frontrowdads.com, you'll see it. It's right there. You can go to the site, and I think if you use, I'll give your audience this code. If you use the code brotherhood when you check out, it'll give a little discount on the price.
Oh man, that's
So for
awesome.
you and your group, Gary. But yeah, guys, if you've got questions, just email us. You can email team@frontrowdads.com, and somebody will get back to you and answer any questions you've got. And at the same time, dude, if you've heard enough and you're like, yeah, let me roll the dice. It's like, what's the worst that could happen? And I
Right.
think whenever you think about these things from a time, energy, resources, just ask yourself, like, ask what's the cost to go? Normal question. You should ask what's the cost to go.
Yeah.
But you should also ask what's the cost not to go.
Uh-huh.
And I think as a dad, it's very important to play that out, because like, hey, what you of course there's a risk of like going and having it not be worth it and not getting anything out of it. That's always a risk you run at any event. There's definitely a risk of not going to any event, because you can guarantee you're not going to learn anything
Such a,
there. You can
yeah.
guarantee it's not going to be a hit.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
process that in the same energy that you give to your business, maybe at times. Consider giving the same energy, if not more, to your life as a dad and as a husband. And what would happen if you did that? How proud will you be? Because the last thing I want to say, Carrie, is this: I've interviewed a lot of guys about fatherhood, hundreds and hundreds of people now for nearly a decade, and I can tell you this: I've met many men in their 70s and 80s that are successful millionaires, right, with families.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard more times than I can count the wisdom from an elder saying, don't miss it. I was absent for many years. I
Mm-hmm.
feel terrible about it. I cannot go back and repair that.
Yep.
Please be present for your family. They've said that.
Yeah.
I have never, and I mean never, heard one time anybody in that position say, you know what, John, I think I spent too much time with my family. I think I left $1 million on the table, and I have so much regret about it. When I go to bed every night, I'm like, why did I go to that baseball game? I could have made an extra $1 million.
Yeah.
Nobody ever has said that. And if we look
Facts.
to the future, towards the end, for the wisdom of these men who've traveled the road, and instead of turning that into like an intellectual, pithy platitude of a thing that's said by the elderly that us younger men get to like joke about, can we actually take the advice before it's too late? Can you actually take the advice before it's too late? Because let me tell you, the busy seasons are never going to end. Right now, you're launching a podcast. Next, you're going to be launching a book. Next, you're going to have 30 employees instead of 15, and it's going to be another busy season. And then the next thing you know, your kids are going to be teenagers. You're going to be like, I'm going to sell my company. It's just a busy season where I got to sell the company. And then right when you sell the company, you're going to be like, I'm so busy trying to figure out where to invest the money.
Yeah.
And you're going to fucking hide the whole way behind your mission
Yep.
and miss your kid's life. So if that's the only thing you hear me say, and you never come to a Front Row Dad event, you never join our group, you never do any of that, please show up for your family. Please learn about fatherhood. Please do the thinking, do the planning for your family, for your children. Like, take it seriously. It is an important role. If you really want to save the world, raise great children.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Mic drop on that one. Damn, I love it. I mean, go back and listen to that monologue, y'all, because that was straight fuego, John. And it's the truth. And I know tons of wealthy people who their marriage is in shambles, their kids don't know them, and it's just an absolute shit show at home. But at the front, at the forefront, like their IG shows them driving a Ferrari and they got a nice house and success, quote unquote, looks all glamorous, but you and I both know these people, and it's not who I like to emulate or who you like to emulate or even who like to associate with, truly. And I just think I so resonate with what you just said and the mission behind it. That's really what the happy hustle is all about: putting the happy in your hustle, blissfully balancing both your personal life and your professional life to
Totally.
ultimately create that, dream reality, right? And it's
Yep.
just, you got to find your tribe and learn from people who are doing this and who have the same values. So I hope everyone checks out frontrowdads.com and check out the event coming up. The date is, let me give the date, just if you're listening to this right when it drops.
December 6th through the 8th.
Okay, yeah, you got the date, December 6th through the 8th, 2023. There will be more. If you missed this one, you're listening to it later. There will be more. So check out Front Row Dads, listen to the podcast. John, this has been amazing, man. I do want to put you through
Thanks, brother.
the Happy Hustle Hacks question and then our rapid fire round. So first being health, we talk a lot about, just optimizing, in many different regards, but health is one of those that I know you don't, you were talking about crushing it in volleyball, this morning, right? And how you can still do a backflip, right? That stuff's impressive, going on almost 50, man. And you look great.
That's right.
So talk to us about something that we could deem a happy hustle hack. This is something uniquely John, something that maybe, that you don't talk about too much, but something that is either a tip, a tool, a tactic in this arena that we could deem a happy hustle hack.
It's tough, man. And the reason that feels tough is because the things that I'm doing are the basics. I don't know that there's anything that people are going to be surprised by, but I'm fairly consistent with it. Like this is our Front Row Dad daily 5 habits right here. I'm holding up to the camera. I know for people just listening. And the number one thing is the daily sweat on that list.
Yep.
That's it. Well, I sweat every day. And
Awesome.
I think that's part of what makes it work is one way or another. I'm in the sauna, I'm walking, I'm hiking with the dogs, I'm playing pickleball with the kids. It doesn't matter. I'm breaking a sweat nearly every day.
Yeah.
But the commitment is to do this every day. It probably works out to be 6 out of 7 days a week, but that's a big one. The basics around break a sweat, put healthy foods in your body, get some rest. I value sleep so highly now.
Yeah.
And I notice things that affect my sleep, stress, alcohol, all of that. Don't poison your body. Don't deliberately work against your health.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's not a sexy answer, but it is the real answer.
Yeah, no.
And to me, the hack is brotherhood.
Yeah.
The hack is relationship.
Yeah.
Because the minute I got a relationship, dude, here's a great example. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to switch for a quick second and just tell you about this because I think it relates to what I just said very quickly. I don't like looking at numbers. I'm not a numbers person. I know that's a belief. I just, right. I don't like looking at the P&L.
No.
I know there's money in the bank and that's great. And I have the P&L and the taxes are done and it's great. I have a bookkeeper. I've got a great CPA. But dude, my sister is really great at numbers. And I have a call with her right after this. I show you my calendar. And I literally asked her, I said, you're so good with numbers. Will you just get on the phone with me and hold my hand as I go through the numbers? And she goes, I would love to, because she's kind of like a bookkeeper CPA person. And, I was like, and she goes, I would love to, because it's time with my brother and we'll look at the numbers together. And I'm like, I literally look at it like you're my workout partner, but for my finances. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the hack.
Yeah.
People. I sweat with people in the sauna. I go for hikes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, even shameless plug, in my new book coming out in April, I put a pro tip. I say, if you watch other people on TV sweat more than you sweat yourself, chances are you need to move that ass. And
yeah, that's right.
It's like people are just like, couch warriors watching football, like, yeah, come on. And it's like, dude, that's not going to get it done. So I love that you mentioned it. Get back to the basics. And the next happy hustle hack I wanted to talk about is money. It's a frequency, it's a tool, it's an energy, but it's important. It's a part of the conversation to be a happy hustler, right? What would you say is a happy hustle hack when it comes to money? So maybe something that you do to save, invest, or spend wisely that we could deem a happy hustle hack.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I started seeing currency as the current I see in my life. Like I look at it way more energetically.
Yeah.
to me, the hack has been my relationship to money.
Mm,
Understanding the limiting beliefs that came to me as a child, the things that were taught, programmed, things I saw on TV or heard from my parents or witnessed with friends or whatever it was, to really understand my relationship to money. That was the biggest thing. And the minute I changed my relationship to money, the minute I felt differently about it, more of it showed up.
mm,
Now, I did the work. I did the business work. I did the stuff that needed. I didn't just sit around and think about it. I didn't manifest it out of thin air.
right.
But once the belief changed and I had the hustle and I had the work ethic and I did the thing, I took the action,
Yeah.
dude, income has grown tremendously over the last, even I would say the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I have extremely wealthy friends, and I don't want people to be wealthy if that's part of their journey. There's no problem with that. I
Yeah.
have no problem with the fancy car, the nice house,
Yeah.
whatever. Love it. It just, how healthy is it in your life? All
Yeah.
of it. How healthy?
Yeah.
Anything's a tool, anything's a resource. It can work against you or for you. So my hack is work on your relationship to money.
Mm,
Really understand it. Talk about it with your friends. Ask people about their relationship to money. Ask people about their beliefs and how they shifted. Because when that changes, everything changes.
yeah. Great point there. And it's really, in my opinion, just getting out of that scarcity mindset. And it's difficult, but focusing on the abundance mentality, right? And then just changing that
Yeah.
relationship. Oh, great wisdom there, man. Let's talk about spirituality. Again, I don't really care one religion or another. I know you don't either. It sounds like it's
Yep.
important to have faith in
Yep.
something bigger than yourself, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
100%.
What would you say is a way that you connect to a higher power? Something, again, maybe uniquely, John, like
Totally.
something that taps you in, that we could deem a happy hustle hack in this arena.
It's silence, man. For me,
Mm,
it's silence, because what I now believe in my life at 48 years old and having the experiences that I've had, I see it as that God lives within me. The term God, this infinite intelligence, this life force that surrounds me and is within me, and that I see things as connected more now than I do separate. It's
mm,
not me and then there's God over there. It's not me and you over there. It's like all of us energetically doing a dance together through this life. So when I feel spiritual, I feel connected to this invisible part, this part that I can't quite draw a picture of per se. I don't know what the shape of it is, but I sense it and feel that it's an openness. I
mm,
sense that and feel it's a flowing, energetic piece to my life. And I'm as logical and as reasonable as anybody can be. And at the same time, I love living in the magic of something that I don't understand. And I don't feel the need to define it. I don't feel that my life is terrible because I can't put a definition to it. I actually don't know that I even want to define it entirely, because I love the mystery of it. I
yeah.
love, right? So the hustle, for the happy hustle part of it for me is like falling in love with this magical space
Mm,
that I go, oh, that's interesting, or spooky action at a distance, like the things we can't, quantum physics of that quantum world. Oh man, that's fascinating,
yeah.
even though I could never give a talk about it.
Right.
Right. And one of the things I'll say, I don't know if we can talk about this on your podcast. I suppose you could always cut it out if you don't want to, but 5 years ago or so, I did step into what's commonly referred to now and getting more attention of this plant medicine space. And,
Mm,
I did have an ayahuasca ceremony, and I did have a psilocybin ceremony, and I did try multiple avenues of healing and this like soul expansion.
yeah.
And dude, I had a conversation with my devout Christian parents, who I told them that I was doing this. And I said, I went to church my whole life growing up, and I know that we've had many conversations about God. I understand. I try to intellectually and in my heart, the best I can, understand what this all means. But guys, I can tell you that I get it now. And nothing helped me get it more. Nothing helped me feel actually more connected to your passion for religion
Mm,
than plant medicine.
yeah.
Because when people say things like, I died in the experience and went to heaven,
Mm.
not from the painful part of death, like, oh, the feeling of dying. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't that. It was literally like the transcendence of a soul
Mm.
into another dimension, into another realm. And not just like in theory, but actually traveling there, having conscious remembrance of it, and then coming back. And if somebody was like, I literally will take you to heaven and show you and bring you back, that's what I felt. Now
Yeah.
that sounds nuts to explain, but almost everybody I know that's been through, and this isn't a sales pitch, but I'm not selling people on doing this. This
Yeah.
is not a commercial or advertisement for this. I do not think everybody should go do this.
Yeah.
But Carrie, I do think that for me, this was powerful.
Yeah.
And so I have to say it because nothing connected me more to my own life force energy than that.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I really do subscribe to the less is more approach, but I have dabbled in all the things you mentioned. I did 4 ayahuasca ceremonies down at Rhythmia in Costa Rica. I've done the psilocybin journeys. I think the biggest misconception is it's not a party, it's work. Like, you are facing your demons.
Big work.
You are literally
Big work.
going into the trauma, you're recategorizing it, you're learning about yourself, your emotions. I forgave myself, I forgave a lot of people who've wronged me. It was very healing. And I say the same thing. I don't like tell anyone they should do it. I say, if you feel called, explore it, but only if you feel called. And it's one of those things that it does have diminishing returns, in my opinion. I watched my business partner and friend get to a point of diminishing returns where he did it in excess, and ultimately it was to his demise.
Yep.
And I think, just like anything, you need moderation as a part of it. But it is a way to tap into a higher power. You're right.
You're 100% right. It can be another place to hide.
Yes.
It can be, but people hide at personal growth events too. Like
True.
our events can be wonderful, but people can hide there. They're always hiding behind, well, I have more room. I have more work to do before I go do the thing in the world. I have more work to do. And that can be a place to hide. Like anything, anything can be the hiding.
Yeah.
People hide behind success. They hide behind work ethic. They hide behind meditation. They hide behind, but they also hide behind Netflix and alcoholism and porn addictions and all the things. There's 1,000 arguably healthy and unhealthy places to hide.
Yeah.
And all of them can be tools for good, and all of them can be places to camp out.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. And you just have to be very self-aware and recognize, the reason behind what you're doing and why you're doing it. Right. And, I like that you went there.
And have a crew of people around you.
Yeah.
Because you can only have so much self-awareness, I think, at any one given moment where you got somebody around you where you're like so close to it.
True.
Like where somebody's like holding up the page in front of your face and you're like, I can't read any of that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, man. I'm here to help.
Yeah. And to be a mirror. I think it's, you need to have those checks and balances in your life and go in full circle with it. So love that, man. All right. This was awesome. Let's put you to the rapid fire round. Then we'll wrap this interview up, man. This is just where I ask you random things and you answer honestly. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Favorite food, go.
Favorite food would be scrambled eggs.
Nice. Favorite movie?
Rudy.
Nice. Favorite book?
Favorite book is The Ultra Marathon Man by Dean Karnazes.
Best business advice?
Best business advice: hire a coach.
What's your spirit animal?
Black Panther.
Nice. 3 things you're most grateful for?
My wife, my children, myself.
Make the sound of your happy hustle front row dad rebel yell.
Dude, that's the best thing. I didn't see that coming.
And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on it, John, what's that billboard read?
Love yourself.
Crush that rapid fire round, brother. And man, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, your unapologetic self, your behind the
Mm.
scenes look at your amazing community, Front Row Dads, and just the opportunity to invite the happy hustlers to join Front Row Dads live, in Austin, Texas, coming up. I mean, dude, this has been an amazing interview, and I'm just grateful to know you, grateful to collab in the future, and just see where our friendship and brotherhood takes us. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Kerry, man. This is so fun. Appreciate it. Now I'm off to see the boys.
Do it.
I owe a check-in.
I love it. Well, one more time, remind people where they can go and where people can go to follow you as well
Sure.
online.
Yeah, all things at frontrowdads.com. If you want to follow along personally the journey, the family, the whole deal, at John Vroman, JonVroman, at John Vroman. You can find me, mostly on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And then I would say, if you want to hear some of the guys that are going to be at this event, or just that are in the community, people I'm connected to that are members of Front Row Dads, that serve Front Row Dads, the podcast is a great place. If you're listening to this, then you probably like audio content, then check that out, because the guys who are at the event, I've brought many of them on to talk about what's going to happen at that event. So it's a good place to check it out. But guys, like I said, dude, the biggest call to action, Kerry, is do something wherever you go. And you've got a great thing going on. So it's yours, it's mine, it's any of our brothers that we're fortunate enough to be around.
Yep.
Like, dude, there's no scarcity here.
Yeah.
8 billion people on the planet. I'll have 100 at my event. There's no scarcity. There's it's just like finding our home. Sometimes you got to go check it out, see if it's your home. So
love that.
That's it.
FrontRowDads.com. We'll link it all up in the show notes as well. Final question, John.
Thanks, brother.
What does happy hustling mean to you?
It's this, man. It's what we're doing. Happy hustle is flow. I was just with my buddy Dan Martell in California at one of his events called Empire Builder. Garrett was there.
Yeah.
I was in the room with Garrett, by the way, last week. That's when he sent this text intro. And, Dan was talking about flow, and he was talking about flow from that perspective being relationships, revenue, and reality is how he was defining it. And he was talking about how in his life, man, that, everything he does it's got to be in flow. And I believe that, one of the things that hit me over the last couple of years is like, I want to be in a dance with life, with people, with my wife, with my kids. And that dance is this energy. It can be playful. You're going to step on someone's toe here and there. At times, you're not going to want the same music. You're not going to want to do the same dance. There can be stress behind it. You can feel embarrassed. People are watching you do this dance. But it's like, to me, being in flow is like when I find my space with my wife and we're just dancing and the world kind of melts away and our souls collide. When I'm dancing with my kids, even like literally like in the kitchen for a dance party, and people are just letting themselves be. And we're in sync with the music of life. To me, happy hustle is flow. Happy hustle is attunement. Happy hustle is ease in a way. Now there's effort to that, but it's like when I swing a golf club and my body is relaxed and I've got the technique down, but it just feels like I didn't even hit the ball. It just soars right where I want it to be. Or when I split a piece of wood with an axe or whatever it is, there's just like this effortless alignment and everything was exactly as it should be. And I wasn't in resistance. I wasn't fighting against it, man. Happy hustle is flow.
Boom. Mic drop, y'all. John Vroman. Thanks for watching and listening, y'all. We are out. Peace and love, everyone.